if you're a sales or marketing leader at B2B technology or B2B services company, and you're thinking about outsourcing to a lead generation company to help you with lead gen, one of the things that comes up is, how do you define the different types of leads that you can expect from this lead generation effort? And so in this video, we're going to talk about the different types of leads, how to classify them, how much they should typically cost, and just empower you to ask the right questions so that when you are getting these leads, you're getting what you pay for. So the first type of lead that's pretty common is just what we call a prospect, and that's simply just a name on a list. That's a contact on a list that matches an ideal customer profile. So you're gonna identify a certain type of business, looking at the firmographic, demographic, psychographic data. And in that, you want to evaluate, company size based on employees, revenue, geographic location, who you're going after in that company, so the title of that person, the seniority, the tenure. And then from there, you can look at different psychographic or behavioral elements based on intent-based behavior. Are they using certain types of technologies? Are they attending conferences? Are they indicating that they might be interested in buying a certain product or service? These are all things you can do to better define a list of prospects, but those are really just names on a list. And you're gonna get that list back, and you're probably gonna have the person's first name, last name, their job title, company name, maybe their education, the kind of technologies that they use, and maybe a personalization variable, such as a conference that they're attending or somebody that they're following online. So once you have that, that is your list of prospects. And oftentimes, companies will pay, depending on whether or not you have a phone number, companies will pay anywhere from like $0.25 to $1 per prospect name. You just want to make sure that with that list of prospects that the email is validated and that the phone number is a direct dial phone number as well. And that the data is clean and can be usable in any kind of outreach campaign. So those are your prospects. The next step are going to be, you're going to want to measure the number of people that open a message or view a message that you send to them. We call these impressions or opens and views. And that, what we find is that when we send an outbound email campaign and we measure the types of inbound lead flow, oftentimes 28% of inbound leads actually originate from an outbound email message that we've sent them. Meaning, we'll send them an email, they won't respond, they'll open the message a number of times, and then they'll go directly to the website and then engage with somebody on the website chat or fill out a form. So it's important to understand the number of impressions you're getting and what your open rate is. Good industry average open rate is around 20%. The next type of lead, outbound lead that you'll see are what we call passive leads. They're equivalent to a marketing qualified lead or an MQL. There's two types of passive leads. There's people that are the just send me something types of people that are like, hey, just send me something and follow up in 3 to 6 months. They can be a neutral response where like, hey, you're not really interested right now, but maybe down the road. Or they can be what we call internal referrals. And those internal referrals are saying, hey, you should talk to a corporate office or talk to so-and-so in marketing or whatever. Oftentimes this can be the equivalent of somebody filling out an inbound lead form that they still need to be pre-qualified, or they submit a question on a website chat as well. We classify all of those as passive leads. Now, there's a lot of lead generation companies that will basically do what they call a warm handoff. And essentially what they're doing is they're taking a passive lead and then they're sending an email introduction to a member of your sales team, and then they're charging yourself $100 for that lead. And that's called a warm handoff. Now, your salesperson still needs to actually correspond with that prospect and get them into a meeting, and then still ensure that they are interested and that they're qualified. So just be careful for warm handoffs and understand what that actually means. Now the next level are what we call active leads. And active leads are people that put up their hand, they match the ideal customer profile, they put up their hand and they say, yes, I'm interested in taking a meeting. So these types of individuals, what we find is 67% of the time they actually convert into a meeting. And these are some of the best leads. And for active leads, it's essential that you respond within 5 minutes or less. In fact, there was a study, a lead response management study that was done through MIT a number of years ago, where they looked at the average response time to any kind of interested or hot lead. And on average, it was like 1 to 2 business days. If you wait more than 30 minutes to respond to an active lead or a hot lead, you're actually reducing your chances of success from converting that lead by 100-fold. So really, really important to respond to any kind of hot lead or active lead within 5 minutes or less. And it's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on in being able to do. The next level beyond that is a booked meeting. So this is an actual scheduled meeting that both the prospect and your sales rep have actually both accepted as a meeting in their calendar. There's a defined agenda, and that's what we call a booked meeting. And then, about 15% no-show rate is a pretty healthy no-show rate. Industry average is 20 to 30%. So the final step is what we call a qualified sales meeting, and this is an actual booked meeting that is attended by both parties. There's a productive conversation that's happened. The people that have attended that meeting are, the people that are people of influence or they're decision makers that are people of influence and authority, and they match the ideal customer profile that we laid out earlier, and there was a productive conversation that happened, and that's the highest echelon of a lead, which is a qualified sales meeting. And so I just wanted to, lay out the entire kind of spectrum for everybody from a prospect to a qualified sales meeting and everything in between, so that you have a better understanding of what types of lead generation services there are out there and what to expect and what questions to ask. If you have any further questions or you want to comment below, please do, and feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to chat with you about this some more.